Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be a chatty get ready with me, so I'm just going to be kind of chilling here doing my makeup on camera. I mentioned in last week's get ready with me video that I was kind of dealing with a few things, and I was thinking of maybe chatting about that in a YouTube video, and the response to that was an overwhelming yes. You guys really wanted to see this video. So before I jumped into it, I did want to say that this video is going to cover topics like mental health and depression and that sort of thing, and I fully understand that that is not going to be for everybody. So I did want to say that that's what I'm going to be chatting about in this week's video. But if you guys are interested in hanging out with me, getting ready with me, and having some talks, let's go ahead and get started. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with my eyes because I want to use this here from Marc, the Sequins Copperazi that I pulled into my April Shop to My Stash. I have the Naked Cherry eyeshadow palette, and that's what I used last week in my Get Ready With Me with a bunch of my Shop My Stash products, but I really wanted to use this one today and it can have some fallout. So I'm just going to start with my eyes. I'm going to use the Covergirl Lid Lock Up Eyelid Primer. I probably won't be chatting about every single product that I'm putting on my face or like all the brushes and stuff, since this is kind of more focused on the conversational aspect, but I will have everything linked in my description box as I always do. So first of all, just kind of jumping into it, I wanted to say, just thank you to everyone who watched last week's video and, left me some feedback, a comment, an email, a DM, etc. I really wasn't even planning to say anything about it in that video. Like, I had a couple other topics in mind, and then I kind of felt like as I was going along and sharing different stories, I was like, I feel like I have to explain like why I'm in such this, particular mindset right now. And so I just kind of said it, and then I was on my Instagram stories, and I had been pretty absent from my Instagram stories. I talk on Instagram stories almost every single day, at least every other day, just kind of checking in and saying hi and what I'm up to and, things like that. And I really stopped because I felt like I wasn't going to be fun to talk to. I felt like I just was in such a bad place that I didn't want to bring that energy to my social media. I tried to stay positive and all of that, and I just felt like I wasn't doing my job at that moment. I am going to use a little bit of the Naked Reloaded palette first before I come in with that shimmer shade. I just want a little bit of something in my crease. So I was already starting to get messages of people saying, hey, are you okay? Or I haven't seen you a lot lately, or miss you, or, a lot of people were like, you must be really busy with moving because, we haven't seen you as much. And I finally said something, and it was so crazy because I get on Instagram stories and I was just gonna, kind of mention, hey, in Friday's video, I'm gonna kind of touch on this subject and whatnot. And I hadn't even really said anything yet, and I just started crying in the middle of my sentence. And that's just how my life has been the past couple weeks. I posted a Beauty Empties video. It went live Monday of this week. And it was so hard to edit that video because I started crying out of nowhere while filming that 4 different times. And that was when I mentioned in the next video that went up the next day, which was Tuesday, the perfect subscriber tag. I mentioned in there how much I struggled to film that empties video, and that I actually had to take 2 days off from filming, which is not something I normally do. I post a video 6 days a week, so I film Monday through Friday. If I know that I have something going on and I can't film the next day, I will film multiple videos in one day, so I'm never behind. But that just came out of nowhere for me, and even though I really didn't have the time in my schedule to just randomly take 2 days off of filming, I knew that I had to because I just was in such a rough place that I just didn't want to keep bringing that kind of energy to my YouTube videos. And one thing that I say too though is that I want to continue to bring awareness to mental health, to depression, because for so long it's been, and even still, I think it's a topic that's very kind of like hush hush, like you're not supposed to talk about it. And especially with social media, you hear people say a lot, well, people only post their perfect selves on social media. You only hear about the happy times, or the Instagram feeds are so beautiful with, everything that's great that's going on in life. And I'm someone who wants to make other people, not feel so alone when you're going through a crap time and, things are bad for you. I don't want to just try to come on every single day and just, essentially like fake it. So it's kind of hard to balance that because I don't want to bring so much negativity. I don't want to put that out there, but at the same time, I try to remind myself that just because I'm going through a mental health struggle doesn't mean I'm trying to be negative. It's just real. It just is what it is. And I think that it's important to keep bringing up topics like this and to tell people, you know, I'm just going through it right now. I'm just having a tough time. And I wanted to come on today to kind of give an update and talk about what I've been doing and, you know, kind of how I've been helping to power through it. Because I mentioned that I was a little bit worried to do this video because every other time that I've talked about my mental health or going through a depression period, I have then talked about it on social media after I have been able to work through it and after I've been back in a more positive mindset. But I was like, I'm worried because I'm still in it right now. It still has me right now. So it kind of worried me to just open up like this. I just wanted a little something in the crease, and then I'm going to come into the shade right here. And I finally did find my little applicator for like, you know, products like this. I've been searching for it, and as I've been packing, I finally found it. I'm gonna spray it just because that's what I would normally do, but I think that this is gonna be better. It's like the little plastic tip. I'm not for sure what you call these, but I'm just gonna use that to apply since it's really, really hard for me to apply with my fingers since I do have such long nails and it's hard for me to get into like really close to my inner corner. But I mentioned last week that I was feeling, you know, that I was more open to talking about this because I've been seeing other creators like Kathleen Lights and Sam Ravindal. They have talked recently about what they've been going through with their mental health, and their videos really inspired me because the whole time that I was watching both of them, I just kept thinking like, me too, and I understand what you're saying, and you know, just nodding at the screen and just being like, yes, like I can relate to this so much. And it was especially with Sam's video when she was saying like, I'm doing so well, I'm doing great, and then all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere and knocks you down. I was like, yes, because that's what I was going through. And I think it made me so upset because I was in such a good place for such a long time, and I have so much to look forward to. You know, we do have this move going on, which definitely a move is stressful. It's very hard, it's very stressful. It's a lot to take on. It's a lot happening at one time, but I'm also genuinely really excited. I'm excited for our house. I'm excited to be, you know, close to family members. I'm excited for a lot of things. I had a lot of new YouTube video ideas to do. I had some ideas for Instagram and like little kind of, you know, daily topics to do that I was discussing. Like, I just felt like I had so much to look forward to. I had really hit a good pace with writing my next novel, and I was having so much fun with that. And then it was just boom, just boom. And I just got so frustrated, like, why? Like, why? And I posted a little thing on my Instagram. I actually kind of want to read it. I posted this little quote on my Instagram. It says, if you know someone who's depressed, please resolve never to ask them why. Depression isn't a straightforward response to a bad situation. Depression just is, like the weather. And it wasn't that anyone in particular was asking me like, you know, why or what happened or why are you depressed? But I just kind of stumbled upon that quote and I thought like, how true is that? Because I was getting frustrated when I was editing last week's video because I kept hearing myself say, there's no reason to be upset. There's no reason to be depressed right now. You have all these good things happening that can outweigh the bad. There's no reason. But depression isn't a logical thing. It's not something that we ask for. It's not something that you plan for. It just happens, and it can, I've been depressed when things are going really bad and I have a lot of crap happening in my life, and I have been hit with depression when I've been at my absolute happiest, you know. So it doesn't make sense. There's not a reason for it. There's no logic behind it. And I think that's one thing too that was just getting me so down because I'm someone who's a scheduler, a planner. That's just how I have to live my life. And I think I was getting so flustered because I was feeling so down, and not only was it, you know, hindering my YouTube, it was hindering writing because I felt like I wasn't writing well during this time. It was hindering, you know, packing up my house and trying to move, because I just felt so down, so lethargic, so out of energy, just so everything. And it really just made, you know, kind of my daily routine come to a halt. And that's frustrating to me. You know, sometimes you can plan for when you need days off, even if you feel like you're starting to get sick. Like if I ever feel like I'm starting to get a cold, I'll amp up my schedule a little bit. I'll write a few more words. I'll film an extra video that day just in case tomorrow's a bad day and, you know, I'm so sick I can't speak, I can't get out of bed, you know, whatever it may be. But it just hit me so hard and so fast, and I think that was another thing that just kept getting me so down, because I'm usually such a productive person. You know, I love all of the different things that I get to do. I get excited to go to work every single day, and when I was feeling like I just couldn't even motivate myself to get out of bed, I didn't even want to work out, like it just had me feeling so crummy and so down. Go ahead and wipe away. There wasn't as much fallout as I remember getting in the past, so maybe that brush had something to do with it, but I think that that shade looks really cool. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to my face. I'm gonna use the First Aid Beauty primer, and then I've been really loving this Wander Beauty Nude Illusion liquid foundation. And most of my face brushes are going to be from EcoTools. They sent me a really cool package with a bunch of different brushes, and most of them are face brushes, so I'm going to be using a lot of these EcoTools. I will try to find them online so I can, of course, link them. That I was just really struggling because it came on so hard and just really knocked me down and just really took so much out of me that I was frustrated with myself. But I will say that once I you know, said something on social media, it's so weird that it felt almost like a little bit was lifted off of me, because I think I was putting a lot of pressure on myself too to continue what it was, like what I was doing, and you know, what's expected of me, and whether that be, you know, talking on the internet or bringing a certain amount of energy to my videos. I felt like I was off and I was feeling frustrated with myself. But once I opened up and said, you know, this is what's going on, and had so many people be like, you know, we're here for you, we got you, we understand, you know, I go through this too, you're not alone. It was like a pressure had been taken off of me, because especially when it came to like talking on my Instagram stories and getting messages, people be like, I hope you're okay, or you must be busy. I'm thinking, you have to talk to them, you have to snap out of it, like this is what you do, this is, people expect this from you. And I was just putting too much pressure on myself to not ignore that I was depressed, but kind of like I was trying to suppress the depression and just get over it and live my life like normal. And I needed to take a minute to just admit to myself. Sometimes for me, it's hard to admit to myself when my depression has come back, because I don't want it. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun for me. It's not fun to admit to the internet when you're depressed. It's hard for me to even admit it to, you know, people in real life, or when I have to say to my husband, like, I'm not doing really well right now, you know, just so you know. It's really hard to admit it. And for me, it almost feels, for me, depression can sometimes feel like a failure, and I try not to feel that way, because I understand that it's not my fault. I don't choose this. But it's hard because it just takes so much out of you. It takes you away from doing things you love. It takes you away from people that you love. You know, I know that with the certain moods and mindsets that I can get in when I'm dealing with depression, that, you know, it's hard for the people around me, and I know that they care about me and they want the best for me, but sometimes, especially if, you know, the people around me are not someone who deals with it themselves, they might not understand how to deal with it or the best way. You know, I've had friends in real life kind of like snap at me, and I think it's just because they don't understand what it is I'm going through, and they don't know how hard it is. So a lot of times when I'm going through a depression, I get very quiet, I get very reserved, I get very in myself, because my thoughts are all over the place. And I have very dark thoughts sometimes, which is scary. But I also, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just get weird thoughts about people. Like, I all of a sudden will think everybody hates me, you know? Like, I'll be with my best friend and I'll be like, I don't actually think she likes me. Not because she's doing anything, but it's because I'm in my own head and I all of a sudden have all these different voices saying, you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, you don't. Do get these thoughts in my head of, you know, I'm not good enough, or just all these different things, and it just pulls me inside myself. And I've had friends kind of get upset with me in the past and be like, oh, you know, you went really quiet, or you didn't really say anything to me that night. And I try to be more open these days with my friends when I'm going through something, just so that they understand and they know that, you know, I'm not being quiet because I'm mad at anybody or I'm trying to be whatever. It's just I'm in my own head, and sometimes I just can't get out of it, which just really sucks. I wish it wasn't that way, but it's just kind of what happens. But after I realized that I was struggling and just like struggling so much, I said something on social media. I had already felt like a pressure, you know, got lifted off of me. Like I said, I took 2 days off from filming and really just doing a lot. Like I tried to stay off social media. I wasn't even watching a lot of YouTube during this time. I found some books to read, and I was just trying to just have more me time. I was going to bed pretty early. I was letting myself sleep in a little bit later. I was disconnecting from the computer earlier, and you know, baseball started, which is awesome. And so I was, you know, going out into the living room and, you know, just hanging out, watching the games with my husband, and just again, just kind of unplugging from social media, because not that social media is, you know, super terrible or anything, but sometimes when you're going through something, it can make it harder, because it's kind of like an interesting thing though, because sometimes it's like, yes, you see everybody else who's like doing great and doing wonderful and all these other things, and it makes you feel kind of worse about yourself. But then at the same time, you see all the negativity and you know, the drama and all of this that's going on, and then that makes me feel worse too. So I just kind of unplugged for a while. I mentioned that I got a massage. I found a Groupon for a place really close to my house, which was awesome, and I just went and took an hour to just chill. That was something, it's something that I hope I do more often when I start to feel this way, because a lot of times it's almost like I try to convince myself that I'm not. Just keep going, like it's fine, it'll work itself out, like it's okay. But I need to be better at taking a step back, focusing on my self-care. And that was one thing that I talked about earlier in the year in a YouTube video, was kind of like my goals for the year. And one of the biggest things I said was self-care, taking more time out for myself. I work all of the time. You know, when you work in social media does not sleep. There's no off hours, there's no anything like that. So I said I wanted to do better at, you know, just taking care of myself, taking care of me. And a big part of that was especially my mental health. So I'm proud of myself. It still took me longer than I think maybe I would hope for, but it's just kind of like a learning thing, because again, I found myself realizing what was happening and realizing the headspace I was in, and I was like, nope, you'll get through it, it'll be fine, just keep going, don't worry about it. And then finally when I was like, nope, just take a step back, just take a couple days off, like nothing catastrophic is gonna happen, focus on yourself, you know, all of that, then I started to feel better, and I started to feel better a lot quicker too. So that's one thing that I wanted to throw out there. And you know, everyone's different. I definitely suggest, if you really struggle, seeing a professional can definitely help. So, you know, don't just listen to like one person on the internet or whatnot. I'm proud of myself for doing that, and I'm glad that I did, and I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like I've been feeling so much better. I've been kind of getting back into my regular groove with filming, with writing. Our weather has been really nice the last few days, so I've been making sure to take Aries out for a W. She's right here, but we go outside and get exercise in the fresh air every day, and I mean, it helps both of us for sure, but it definitely helps me. And I just feel like I'm getting back to myself again, which I'm so happy about. And honestly, when I was filming that video last week, I didn't know if I was going to be able to say that for today's video, and I was worried, and I was worried that I wasn't gonna have anything like positive to say in this video. But it's so fascinating to me how interesting like just kind of how quickly my mood could turn around because of the support of the internet, because of so many of you guys saying, keep going, you got it, you know, we support you, we're behind you. And I think just talking about it too definitely helps a lot. And sometimes it's just, you know, you have to admit it to yourself. And for a long time when I'm in depression, I don't want to admit it to myself because I don't want to be depressed. I don't want that to be happening. But once you admit it and you can move forward and you can work on it, it really has, you know, made me feel a lot better, which I am so grateful for. Using the Fenty Beauty setting powder, I just picked up a mini of this. So I'm just using that to set some of the areas where I placed the concealer, which was from Estee Lauder. Definitely wanted to, you know, just give you guys that little update and to say that I'm starting to really come around. I'm not 100% back to my normal self yet. I'm still kind of taking my nights to disconnect earlier, to not be on the computer as much, to even just like go to sleep earlier, and just little things throughout the day that I'm trying to make myself a priority with, and to not put so much, you know, pressure on myself, especially right now when I'm feeling this way. But I'm feeling so much better than I even was just last week. Like I mean, it was literally, I'm filming this on Tuesday the 9th. It was this time last week that I felt so hopeless. So it's just so crazy to me what a little bit of self-reflection can do, what taking time for yourself can do, you know, what self-care can do, and what talking about it can do. So I definitely wanted to give you guys the update there. Again, just say thank you for supporting me. Like I said, when I was talking about like the negativity and such, it's one thing that does kind of scare me, because I do like to, you know, bring a positive aspect to my channel. You know, you don't see me really getting involved in drama and things like that. And it's because I want to try to focus on the positive. That's what I want to fill my life with, because I think if you focus on the negative for so long, or bad things, even if, you know, whatever it may be, it can put you in that headspace, which isn't good. And it's why I try to focus so much on, you know, not focusing on that, you know, not watching the drama videos, not watching, like, I used to be someone who every single day I would start my day off with like going to people.com and Us Magazine and seeing like the celebrity news. And, you know, a lot of times the celebrity news is like who's cheating on who, and who's got a drug problem, and who's getting divorced, and all these different like negative things. I've gotten away from that person, and I try to focus so hard on positive and positive vibes and positivity and all of that fun stuff, because I just feel like it also helps my mindset, especially as someone who deals with depression. I don't think a lot of the other stuff is helpful to me, and they can mess with my mind and mess with my mood and all of that. So that's what I try to bring. And sometimes I'll get comments like, you know, if I say something like, I'm trying to think of like specifics so it'll make sense to you, but it's always like the really small things. Like a couple weeks ago I was sick, and I remember in an Instagram story I was like starting to feel better, and I said something on there like, oh, you know, I'm starting to feel better, but the cold is still sticking around, you know, hopefully it's gonna go away soon. Like, I remember actually going back and watching my story, trying to figure out what I did that was so negative, because I had someone tell me that she was making the decision to unfollow me because my stories were too negative. And I was like, what? And, you know, and I was like, I'm not sure I understand, because I'm sick and I'm saying that, like, it's clear that I'm sick and you can hear it from my voice. Like, I don't know, this is kind of weird to me. I didn't know what to do about that. And like, I can remember another time too where I ordered food and I drove like 20 minutes to get this stupid salad that I wanted so badly, and when I came home it was wrong. Like, the whole order was wrong, and not only did I not get my food, but I wasted my money, I wasted time driving there. Like, it was this whole big thing. And so, you know, I said that on Instagram stories, and I had people write back and be like, you're so negative, you know, why don't you talk about more positive things? Like, I come to you for, you know, positivity and entertainment and all of that. And it's like, okay, sure, I understand, and I totally get what you're saying. But at the same time, I'm not a robot. I'm a person. I'm a real person. That's why I was worried about posting last week's video, because I was telling stories about all this money that we owe in taxes right now, and my car breaking down and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get people like, all you do is complain, and I come to you to cheer up, and instead you put me down. But really, I didn't have any of those comments, 0 of those comments. No, There was one comment that did tell me to get a job, which was weird, but that's okay. Maybe she meant it in a nice way, but other than that, all of the comments were very positive and very supportive, but it's also an added pressure that I feel as a social media influencer, that people turn to me for entertainment, people turn to me for escape. You know, I turned to YouTube during that time in my life too, when I was going through a really bad spell of depression. I was really low at the time that I started watching YouTube and then started my own channel. And it's nice to be able to tune in and, you know, see someone putting on makeup or see someone talking about makeup or favorite products or things like that. But kind of how I mentioned in the perfect subscriber tag, is I also really like finding people to become friends with, to feel like I have a connection with. And I don't know, if I was friends with someone whose life was just always perfect and amazing and magical, because I've had a friend like that where nothing was ever wrong in her life, everything was always great and positive, and it makes you feel less than. It makes you feel like, well, how come I fight with my husband? How come I have money problems? How come I got sick? How come, like, it's like, what? No one has a perfect life. No one. And so I understand wanting to come to YouTube and wanting the escape and wanting the positivity, but there also has to be a realization that these are real people. Alrighty, I did go ahead and do my brows off camera with the Brow Wiz, which is in my Shop My Stash, so if they're not looking great, I just don't really like that pencil a ton. And I also added some liner, the Urban Decay Uzi, also in my Shop My Stash, to my waterline, and I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off the lash line here, back in the Reloaded palette. My dog is just walking around doing her thing. But so I kind of had, I hope this video made sense, and hopefully I can make it make sense while I'm editing. I don't usually write down like what I'm going to say. I just kind of sit down and chat, but I had some like bullet points of what I wanted to cover, because sometimes when you're talking about things like this, things can take turns, or you can just kind of get emotional, or you need to take breaks, like I said. It can kind of help me keep me on track. I actually had a couple more things that I wanted to talk about, but maybe I will save those for future videos and future topics that I can cover. Because I feel like we've already gotten long enough, and I'm about done with my makeup here. So I just wanted to give that check-in. I kind of wanted to, you know, almost just kind of explain it. I think depression is really hard to explain, because like I said, a lot of times it's happening for, you know, reasons that you can't explain, and all of that. So I kind of wanted to just kind of give you my, you know, what happened and how it happened and how I was feeling, just to say thank you guys for giving me the courage to post these types of videos, because it is challenging. I'm just gonna add some of the CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara. I've been really enjoying this to my lashes. I'm gonna go back to my OG highlighter, my Mary Lou, for today's highlight. That is going to, you know, kind of like wrap up what I was wanting to talk about for today's video, kind of like the main focuses that I wanted to chat about. It's important to speak out on these topics, because it's very real, and it's very scary. I know last week there was a couple times that I was legitimately scared because of, you know, some of the thoughts that you can get in your head. So continuing to speak up, I think, is really important. I'm very grateful for other YouTubers that do it, because it helps me a ton. So I hope someone out there got some help from this video. For my lips, I'm gonna give the ColourPop So Juicy Gloss one more chance. This is gonna be the third time I'm trying them, and so far I haven't been loving them. I'm gonna line my lips with my lip liner in my Shop My Stash from CoverGirl. This is in Caramel Nude. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna try the ColourPop So Juicy Gloss in Beechwood. And then I'm going to spray with the Anastasia Dewy Set. Alrighty, so this is the final look that I came up with today. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing it. And again, I'll have all the products that I used linked down below. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video. And, you know, it can definitely be difficult to admit when you're struggling and admit when you're down, but I think this is a really important topic. And thank you, you know, so many of you for encouraging me to make this video and continue to speak out, because I feel like it is not only helping me, but hopefully helping others as well. So thank you so much for the continued support and the comments and the messages. It means so much. I hope this video wasn't too all over the place. hopefully it all comes together in the end for the final edited version. But I honestly, just as I'm sitting here, it's been a couple hours since I started filming, I feel even like more of a weight has been taken off of me, more of a pressure has been taken off of me. Thank you guys again so much. Thanks for sticking by me and supporting me even during some of my darker times. It's, you know, I'm more grateful than I can really say, and I'm very humbled by you guys. So thank you so much. If you guys did enjoy this video or you found it helpful in some way, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in Sunday's video.